Well, we're an empire now, Phil. We're an empire now. We're a settler colonial empire, baby. Yeah, we did it. There was no difference between the candidates, right, everybody? There was no difference. We're a settler colonial empire now, and you better get with it or we're going to fucking invade you and take all your goddamn resources. That's right. We're bringing freedom, democracy, oil executives. We're bringing it right to everybody. Let's go down the list of places that we may or may not invade as of time of recording. By the way, we recorded this on January 6th. That doesn't feel fucking auspicious. Okay, so we might invade Greenland. We might invade Cuba. We might invade Colombia. We might invade Iran. Who am I missing here? I feel like I'm missing a few.
No, wait. So Iran, Colombia. Did you say Mexico? Because we might.
I forgot Mexico. I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah, Mexico. That's 5.
How could you forget? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're up to lucky 13, where it's the 13 ghosts of Scooby-Doo because we've bombed 8 countries already. That's one thing I found out this year is we've basically bombed or paid for the bombing of 8 countries in the first term of Trump.
Okay,
yeah, that's
Iran,
including
Nigeria.
Yep. Yemen.
Then Yemen. Okay.
Venezuela. There was Gaza is in there, which is like a technical one.
Does it count as a bombing if it's just boats off the shore and also a port and also you steal their president? Well, yeah. Dictator president, right?
Well,
we have to say dictator president.
Well, and you know what? It's one of those ones too. As I went down, because you and I, when we did the live stream, talking about
on my channel, is that one?
Yeah. Say again.
Are you saying on my channel?
Yeah, on your channel.
We've just been so busy over the last week, so okay.
I know, yeah. When you and I did the live stream on your channel, where we watched the press conference, it became very clear to me that you actually know more about this Maduro situation, just who he is as a person. Versus for me, I was like, he's never really been my main character. He's like a C plot I've been skipping most of the time. I was like, yeah, that'll come up later, and I don't need to learn about it now. So I looked into it, like Maduro in general, and I was like, what is this guy? So first thing, former bus driver, that caught me off guard. He was a bus driver who was a union organizer in Venezuela who eventually became the vice president under Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez died. Maduro becomes the president. And then I started going through his list of things. And it's like the same, like Trump's just jealous, honestly, when it really comes down to it. Because he's overthrown elections. He's had illegal elections. He's jailed a bunch of people. He's disappeared people. They're like, oh, he's killed thousands. I'm like, oh, which dictator president hasn't?
I think it ultimately came down to him being angry about the dance moves because Trump's got the double jerk off thing. Yeah. But Maduro, I mean, you were calling him the bus driver, which I thought you were going to stick with bus driver. And I was like, that's a little bit like, Hitler, the famed painter.
Oh, the painter? Yeah. No, that was just the thing when I was reading the Wikipedia article about him. It opened with bus driver. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, okay. But it's been one of those weird ones when I was going through it. And I was like, but I've also lived, being a millennial now, how many evil dictators that the CIA probably had a hand installing, or the KGB, depending on what we're calling those guys now, FSB, that have installed. How many of these have we then knocked out and then immediately get stuck in a quagmire in, and then immediately spend the next 20 years saying to ourselves, we shouldn't have done that.
Well, okay, so what I will say there is in no way does it dismiss who Maduro was and what he does to his people. I think where I look, it's kind of twofold. One, Trump has a preference when it comes to dictators, right? He is a friend with some. He writes love letters to some.
To Kim Jong-un. You want to talk about killing thousands? Didn't he kill his uncle by the artillery shells?
I don't know. I that's what I remember, but there's also, when it comes to North Korea, there is, unfortunately, a lot of misinformation that a lot of people get swept up in. There is a lot of really true batshit crazy stuff, so I just, not having it in front of me, I don't want to say. Okay. So there is that. He has a preference when it comes to dictators. And then speaking of that, I think that what comes next has been the thing I've been saying over and over and over since the moment it happened, because a lot of people were like, oh, well, obviously Trump's doing this and Machado's going to come in, right? The opposition leader. Yeah. She's going to come in. She's been praising him. She's been playing, I'd say the long game, but it hasn't really been too long. But she's been playing to the audience of one with Trump. That doesn't pan out. And that also, I think, then leaves a lot of Venezuelans in a questionable place, because you have people going, yes, wait, Maduro is done, but then his VP's in. And that may have actually, I think that is at least the short-term goal, because I think that Trump and the administration, they see Delcy Rodriguez, as someone they can count on that is less troubling and has less bravado than Maduro, that she will keep things in place. And so when it comes to people actually scared of this dictatorship, scared of the authoritarianism, it may just be the same shit and we just get oil now.
Yeah, it's called a rebrand, Phil. But also, I don't know if that's going to be completely true, because I think there's a couple things in there, because we threw some names out there, and I want to make sure, because the listeners, not everybody's following things as close as everybody else. There is Delcy Rodriguez.
I think it's Rodriguez. I'll double check.
That woman, that person is the vice president, was the vice president of Venezuela under Maduro. Also, apparently, it's said many, many times, the same exact policies of Maduro has been a part of this administration. All of the different strongmen involved in the Maduro regime, administration, whatever you want to call, they're all still, for the most part, in power. We killed, I think, something like 80 Cubans, though, who were down there when we did the strike. Because the Venezuelan government and the Cuban government are inextricably linked. The other side, Machado, who you're talking about, is the opposition leader who I believe is currently in exile, right? Who won the Nobel Peace Prize for being an opposition leader in exile, which is a pretty common thing, actually, for the Nobel Peace Prize. They often like to give it to people who are seen as being democratically forward or being pro-democracy forces, or all those different things. She won the Peace Prize, dedicated it to Trump. Trump got mad. This is according to, I think, the New York Times or the Washington Post. Trump got mad that she won it. And even though she dedicated it to him, he was like, no, you should have refused it. And then they would have given it to me. And this is what the claims are. And the thing is we're actually live in such a fucking parody now that is probably true. There are so many times where we've sat around, like the dancing thing. I was like, oh, he's going to be pissed about that dancing thing. You shouldn't make fun of his dancing. He actually is really proud of his dancing. And then when it came out, they're like, it might have been the dancing. We're recording the show on January 6th, right? It also might have been the fact that the Venezuelan government was tied in loosely in the conspiracy theories around the 2020 election. People forget there was a woman named Sidney Powell who either was or wasn't a Trump lawyer, depending on which legal proceeding you're looking at. She got an email from a lunatic who listened to spirits in the wind that told them that Hugo Chavez, with Smartmatic voting machines, used satellites to change the election results in Georgia and other states. That is an actual thing that came out, I think around 2022 and 2023, down in Fulton County. And so it was brought up repeatedly to Trump that, hey, Venezuela, they did steal the election for Joe Biden back in 2020. You can get a little revenge, which is why we did an airstrike on Hugo Chavez's grave. So, just if you guys are wondering, if you're in a rural area and you're wondering why your hospital closed, Donald Trump needed to bomb a gravesite. Not even a person, no real reason to do it, just was mad and said, can I do that? And they said, yes.
But I am interested to see what's going to happen between, so it's Delcy Rodriguez and Machado. Yeah. Because Machado last night, to your point, with the Nobel Peace Prize being such a big key thing, went on Sean Hannity, went on Fox News, completely debased herself. And he asked her, did you at any point offer to give him the Nobel Peace Prize? She says, it hasn't happened yet. We want to give it to him. Share it with him. So I think this has been also part of something that has alienated a number of allies. I've been, over the past few days, looking into this more and more. And I think the reason they see Delcy Rodriguez, the Trump administration, as someone they can work with is she seems to understand the transactional nature of what is happening, what is transpiring, that it is power and control, and okay, so we understand you will do stuff. Whereas Machado, despite her recently really trying to get Trump on her side over the last few months and really hard in the past few days, is actually been kind of really someone that outside of this has stuck to her morals, has really actually seems often to care about the people and is against the crackdown from this government, but has alienated a lot of people and has, with their recent actions, lost a little bit of support from people. But probably most importantly, when you're talking about these powers, it seems that the Trump administration just didn't trust that she'd be able to get the military on her side. And they, to your point, don't seem to want a situation where they do this power swap of an opposition party and pure chaos happens where we get locked down. That is not to say that any of this
it's not coming.
Is great.
Well, it's not to say it's not coming because even last night,
because you don't get to choose.
Well, but even last night now, we now also live in an area of so the current leader of Venezuela is completely weakened because it's just a matter of whether or not one of those military guys wants to say, well, actually, I'll protect us and knock her out. Machado, even if she was to get installed right now, would always be a puppet vassal of the United States. There would be no way that anyone could ever say she would sit there. Let's go with just like a quick little hypothetical. Hey, guys, I'm going to raise the toll on the bridges. Oh, did you check with Washington first? Because oil tankers drive across that. Are they going to get free passes? Like it's going to be it'll be that for every single thing. And the other side of it is been watching this entire time as they've come in to say how this is different than Iraq. I mean, we talked about it on the emergency episode, but they basically just keep saying I'm built different, and also, it's the same time zone, so we can handle this. They literally think that the reason why Iraq fell is because there was a 12-hour time difference, 7-hour time difference to get information back. Like that's where they think the issue was. The logistics and all these other different things. But the big thing, I want to pivot a little bit from Venezuela while still staying inside of the fact that we're an empire now, because we're now getting closer and closer to just straight up declaring that we are the American empire. We're going from a soft power global hegemony, which is like a leader of the world, to a hard power hemispheric empire. And because so many members of the Trump administration, so many MAGA influencers, and even the White House accounts themselves have been posting that the Western Hemisphere is, quote, ours. And what they mean by ours is Donald Trump's, to do with whatever he pleases. This is the exact language they're using. We can do whatever we want. He calls it the Monroe Doctrine. That's an update of a thing called the Monroe Doctrine. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, we had a president named Monroe. Okay, let me get my history teacher hat here, okay? We had a president named Monroe, and he basically said that he didn't want any European powers having colonial possessions in the Western Hemisphere. His view of it was anything that was in America's backyard is under the sphere of influence of America. Donald Trump's flip of it is, under the Monroe Doctrine, is I'll fucking kill you if you don't listen to us. That's it. That's the difference. That's solely the difference. Monroe's idea was we're going to use diplomacy. We're going to do these different things. We're going to do tactics. We were going to foster democracies down there. His is, it's mine. This is mine. Get out of Greenland. Get out of Cuba. Get out of Mexico. And anyone who doesn't do exactly what I'm saying, obviously because me, Donald Trump, the president, and Stephen Miller, and Holocaust Hegseth, and all these other fucking guys, all of them combined, they all are the only ones who are correct in the world. And anyone who believes otherwise about any sort of policy inside of another country is clearly being controlled by cartels, communists, I don't know, we could throw Iran, whoever we want to sprinkle in there, China, all these different things. We are doing, we're doing Lebensraum, except for America. That's where I'm looking at it. And it's crazy because many of these MAGA influencers have spent the last 10 years pretending that they didn't want foreign wars. That's where I'm like, the part where I'm like, and honestly, can I tell you, welcome back, fellas. It's great to see the real yous again. I've been watching Ben Shapiro have to pretend for 10 years he didn't want to be in Iraq. I've been having to watch Matt Walsh, all of these fucking idiots pretend that they wanted to be isolationists, that they care about America first. I'm watching them immediately take the term America first to actually mean the Americas first. This has been one of those moments. So now you can take a look at any Jim Bro rat that you know that loves Joe Rogan that said that we shouldn't be a world police, we shouldn't be all these different things, and be like, how's that going? Because they're all liars.
Yeah, I mean, with Walsh specifically, I saw him say, well, actually, making Venezuela a vassal state is America first. So it's very much like, not even seeing these places as like real places. It's just things that we own. And this idea of, it's hard power. I mean, when Stephen Miller was on CNN last night, kind of losing his mind at times, they essentially said that the policy is, we will fuck you up you don't want these hands. Like that's essentially our international policy. I got to read this quote. He said, I don't know if I need to scream it, but he's like, we live in a world, in the real world, Jake, that is governed by strength, that is governed by force, that is governed by power. These are the iron laws of the world since the beginning of time. Jesus, this sounds like someone rallying up some Nazis. Nobody's gonna fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland. The first part could have been like, oh, we're gonna protect our country, and then it's like, and we're gonna fucking take Greenland, even though they work with us really well, and there's really no reason to do this.
Und das Sudetenland will be ours. No, the thing you need to understand is these are also the same people who claim they're Christian. He's screaming, might makes right. The strength is how we can rule through power and ability. Right? The meek are supposed to inherit the earth, guys. What happened to Christ as king? That's what I want to fucking know. I'm sorry. Am I the only one who read your own fucking book? This bullshit. This is a quote because I knew you were going to bring up that Stephen Miller quote because I pulled a Stephen Miller quote.
Ooh.
Because I want just everybody to remember, having a memory is a curse, okay? Having an actual memory of human events and going, wait a second, did you, like this is like directly in 1984, there's so many times where the main character's like, wait a second, fellas, 2 weeks ago, you said the chocolate rations were down. Like this is the exact thing. Stephen Miller, this is from November 1st, 2024. This is 4 days before Election Day. Quote, I'm going to do it in a shitty voice, okay? This isn't, no, that's Trump. This isn't complicated. If you vote for Kamala, Liz Cheney becomes defense secretary. We invade a dozen countries. Boys in Michigan are drafted to fight boys in the Middle East. Millions die. We invade Russia. We invade nations in Asia. World War III, nuclear winter. Now, I can tell people are like, okay, you're about to call Stephen Miller a liar. No, I'm not. Because he is completely correct. We are not invading the Middle East. We're not invading Russia. We're not invading Asia. We're invading South America and Greenland and the Caribbean and West Africa. We should have had him do the Wacko song where he has to sing every country in the world that we weren't going to invade, or at least go by regions. There's been a meme that's been going around a lot too of, because again, we're going into sphere of influence world, right? The United States, there's a map that people keep putting up where it's a line. There's a line going down the middle of the Atlantic, and everything to the left of that line, which is the West, that is all going to be Trump. And then basically Europe, North Africa, and the Russia line, the old Soviet Union, that's going to be Putin. And everything south of that line, that's going to be Xi for China. And that's kind of like, it feels very much when you watch an old movie about three warlords dictating, like they literally just put out a sword and cut up the map and then hand each one a piece. And that's really what this feels like. But the issue being is our president has dementia and he's going to forget where he drew the line because it's new lines.
Yeah, one of my big focuses right now is on China. Not only because of what may or may happen in Venezuela, but also, obviously, there's been a lot of people talking about what happens with Taiwan. If we're talking about spheres of influence, there being a focus there. There are kind of two mindsets here. One, China is emboldened, right? They go, okay, well, if we're just doing that, let's scoop up Taiwan. Others saying, maybe not so, because Donald Trump has shown that he will do stuff with the U.S. military that maybe in the past we would have been more hesitant to because it could prime for escalation.
The word you're looking for is madman psycho shit.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I'm of a mindset of I don't think that we're going to know the answer right now. I think we will have the best answer if this Trump-Xi meeting happens in April like it's supposed to, or if it gets canceled. If it gets canceled, all bets are off. Shit could get really, really crazy. But I don't know, because I think China is willing to deal with some Venezuela pain in the interim if they also get to be kind of big bro, internationally more trusted. So we're gonna have to see. But I don't know. It's China's. There's a lot of interesting things with China.
But the thing is, though, is in general, though, with this, we have blown up every piece of propaganda that the United States has pushed out since the end of World War II, especially when it comes to looking at states like we used to with the Soviet Union and like we have done with China in general, right? With China, the big fight has been always about the South China Sea, the 7-dash line, all that different stuff, and what regions are there. And the big push has been, China's had the Belt and Road Initiative, which is where they've been giving money to third world and developing countries and saying, hey, we'll help you build roads, we'll help you build bridges, all these different things. Then you give us access to mineral rights, right?
Yeah.
That actually was the old American policy. It was called U.S. aid. We nuked that. We destroyed that. And now instead we're saying, if you don't give us your oil, we will kidnap your leader. Like that's going to be the difference. China, I think, in the long run, actually in the midterm run, I've been bringing it up a lot. I'm going to keep bringing it up. They just have to keep doing the Luigi Mario Party meme. Stand completely still and watch America drive off a fucking cliff. That's all they have to do repeatedly because Xi hasn't had to do anything and he just looks better every single fucking day. Our president has threatened. He's almost completely dissolved NATO by threatening Denmark. He has basically blown up every action we could have in North America now. He has now threatened Mexico. He has repeatedly threatened Canada. So we're looking at the possibility of sometime inside of our lifetimes, maybe. I mean, I never thought that we'd have a two-front war, land war in North America, but there is a possibility of that because we are now setting up a world where we have a series of young men and politicians who live in a world where you conquer your neighbors. We're normalizing that. We have that happening across. When we look at the polling on it is weirdly mixed. It's as a whole, nobody really likes this. But when you break it down politically into certain political parties, on the conservative side, 73% are like, oh, actually, I love this. I know I claimed that I was anti the Iraq war. I was anti all this, colonial powers. I didn't want to be spilling blood for treasure for oil executives. But in reality, I like MMA. Punching guy in head feel good, and then I take woman. Like, there was literally guys posting. There was a guy who posted on Twitter that there was something like 6 million women of childbearing age in Venezuela, and if we go in there and conquer the country...
I couldn't tell if that was a troll or the weirdest fucking person on the planet.
No, here's the thing. We're in a point now where nothing is. Nothing is a troll because, again, you have to look at the reaction inside of the algo and inside of all of these different areas, right? You can go... It used to be... you would say a dumb thing, oh, look at me, I'm doing troll face, right? But if you're doing troll face, look at me, we're going to get rid of all the Mexicans are rapists and all this evil shit, and I'm going to have masked men in the street, and we're going to conquer the world. Oh, that's Trump, he's just trolling. Well, enough people liked it, now I have to do it. Like, that's where we are. I mean, think about it, this has been 10 years. We've had 10 years of this shit. If anyone with a long-term memory, all right, I've looked at our numbers. Now, a lot of people listening to this, at the minimum, you were probably 15 when this shit started. Think about this. All right, at the minimum, you're 15. You might have been like 25 or 30 when this shit started. Think about where we were in 2015. Think about the problems we had in 2015 and 2016. And think about where we are now. Every single one of those problems has been man-made. These are not... The aliens didn't show up and say, invade Venezuela. Aliens didn't show up and said, if you don't conquer Greenland, we're going to nuke the fucking planet. These are the choices of 1 to 5 men. Repeatedly.
Yeah. Once again, though, I mean, when you're talking about the Republican support, I think the only thing that changes it is, more Americans dying, which I think that's why with Venezuela, it's interesting to go, okay, let's see where this goes. Trump, I think, threw out a random amount of time that he thinks it was like 18 months to get U.S. oil up and running. Because last time we were chatting, we were like, okay, well, who would be protecting this? Like, who would be protecting it? Would you have boots on the ground? He said he's not scared of boots on the ground. So if there are Americans that die, I think maybe that could shift Republican support. But in general, it does feel like we are at a time and we have a president that is not only of the mindset of might is right and, use the full force, but it feels a little bit like get while the getting's good. Like, obviously we wouldn't do this with a country that has nukes, right? Obviously, like Russia, North Korea. And if anything, I think this is like a message to the world, like get nukes fast.
I was thinking the same thing.
Get nukes fast. Otherwise, America's going to take over maybe.
Well, not just America, but look at that now. America and Russia are both doing the same thing. We're both doing the same thing. What we're doing in Venezuela is exactly what Russia did in Ukraine.
Twinning out.
It is. But I mean, and Ukraine had nukes. We signed a deal with Russia and Ukraine in the 90s for Ukraine to get rid of their nukes, because the idea of nuclear proliferation, the idea that there's more nukes, we thought made the world less safe. We thought it was scary. So we convinced the country to get rid of their nukes. They've been at war for a decade. They've been invaded for a fucking decade. Venezuela, we look at Iran. Iran, every time they've tried to get one, we've bombed them, or we've sent in, or Israel's gone in, or somebody has gone in over there. We've destabilized it. And right now we have issues with Iran where they're having, they have a brutal dictatorship, which is also an issue, and they are killing protesters in the streets. But at the same exact time, we have our president saying, I'll go in if you kill any more protesters. And then we watch local news and we watch our protesters literally getting arrested on local news. Like, propaganda-wise, communication-wise, all of this is bullshit. Like, that's the thing that gets me, is like, at least in the 50s, they could have a thin veneer, a poster you'd put over it. Right? You would go, look at the Soviets. They're doing grand Soviet imperialism. They're the great evil empire, and we're the rebels from Star Wars, fellas, Ronald Reagan, right? And now it's like, well, look at them. They invaded Ukraine, so I get to invade Venezuela, and then we can fuck up Greenland. We need Greenland because Elon's my friend now again, and he needs the medal for his Robovan. That's what he calls a Robovan. Like, that's where we're fucking stuck. Like, it's just...
I love you bringing that up, just because it makes me think of the people that watch The Boys that
who don't know it's a parody.
That unironically are like, Homelander's so based. I'm like the biggest Homelander fan.
Yeah,
just like
Cody Rhodes.
God. Wait, did Cody Rhodes have that take?
No. He he dresses like the Homelander. Sometimes people call him Cody Lander. And he, like, some of the costumes he's worn, he was like, no, I'm the good guy. And he has like the giant, like, American flag cape. And I'm like, oh buddy, you don't understand irony. Oh no. That's the other thing too. I think that's been the other big part too, is we have a millennial irony internet brain. And that's been a hard thing for me to get over the past bunch of years, especially looking into this shit, right? I think there's a combination of things, which is one, there's a group of people who don't believe that people will lie to them constantly and are shocked, which is like, this feels, you remember that Ricky Gervais movie where he like invents lying?
I've only seen clips, but yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's not a
world
great
where everyone
movie.
has to tell the truth, but yeah.
Yeah, everyone tells the truth, and he literally just like, oh no, I have money in this bank, and they just start handing him money. He's like, oh, I can just say whatever. Like, that's what the Trump administration feels like. Like, they discovered that like in the case of with Venezuela, they did not. They were supposed to tell Congress, like, right before you attack somebody. You're supposed to go, hey, just so you know, we're gonna blow up Venezuela real fast. You're just supposed to tell somebody, and they didn't tell Congress. And then it came out they told the oil executives. They told oil executives first. They told Wall Street first. They told somebody who went to Poly Market and dumped a ton of money into prediction markets. Right? They told all those fucking guys. And then when we turned to Congress, we turned to Chuck Schumer. He's like, well, hold on, I gotta do the glasses. Well, we have to have a briefing. I mean, they've been lying in the briefings, but we need a briefing to prove that they're lying. And then maybe the voters will hold Republicans accountable. Bitch, if you don't do something, like if something doesn't happen, then there is no voters holding people accountable. During the press conference that we watched, the president of the United States threatened multiple cities and states of the United States with military action. This is all tied together. We are now sitting here at a time yesterday. Tim Walz stepped down. I mean, he didn't step. He's not running for re-election. He still has a year left as governor. But this is due to a huge pressure campaign on him, in particular, to drop out. And that pressure campaign is not only we haven't talked about it because we've been off, but this whole a lot of people keep pointing this to the Somali fraud story and the daycare bullshit and all that other stuff, which there is fraud there. There is fraud there. That is true, that there is actual fraud. But that isn't the reason he's really dropping out. The reason he's really dropping out is because of the massive amounts of fucking death threats his family's been getting for a fucking year. The fact that people have been driving past the governor's mansion screaming the R slur because every month and a half, the president targets specifically Tim Walz. And why does he target Tim Walz? Because Tim Walz had the absolute audacity to accept the VP nom to run against Donald Trump. This is where we are. This is where it's always going to be. If you stand against him, you're an enemy unless you bend the knee. And this is where I think people are starting to come online. We're looking at Europe right now when it comes to this Greenland thing, because Greenland is actually owned by apparently the Kingdom of Denmark. Did you know that? Did you know that Denmark was a kingdom? I didn't even know they had a king.
When you were talking about memories, I probably knew that at one point.
Yeah. Well, I discovered, you know what? It's like learning something on the internet. I discovered it. Did you know? I discovered that Denmark is a kingdom. But no, they're a NATO ally. We now have Europe coming online and realizing that, oh my God, America might colonize us. Mm-hmm. But this is fucking nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with Tim Walz there are two drastically different narratives. Some people saying it is specifically around the claims of Somali fraud and everything that went down over break. Others saying, to your point, he's just tired of dealing with pure insanity around him, the constant attacks. I don't know. I will say what I noticed is what's his face? Newsom did tweet about this. He didn't tweet about I think his team is still figuring out what they want to say about Venezuela, but they did tweet about this.
And I saw Ro Khanna, actually, Congressman Ro Khanna called out basically every 2028 candidate by saying,
really?
I noticed how all of you seem to have a saying about anything had nothing to say today with the invasion of Venezuela. And I'm going to keep calling it an invasion because that's what it is. We invaded, we stole their leader, and we left. Some people think that invasions mean you go in there and you occupy. We're not done, first thing, but also we sent in people, boots on the ground. They took a person and killed people. The Ro Khanna called it out. And the thing is like, I want to both, one, applaud Ro Khanna for saying that, but number two, also be like, hey, bud, chill. Because there is, during some of these insane moments, there is a moment where you have to sit there and go, well, I got to see how this plays out a little bit before I actually say anything. And I don't mean that from a polling perspective. I mean that from a, does this go sideways? So, for instance, we are very lucky, and by we, I mean the United States military, is very lucky that no American soldiers died in this operation. But if some had, then that's a different story. Because then everyone has to then salute the flag-draped coffin of that soldier that may or may not have been sent on a mission that could or could not have been illegal. Like, there's a bunch of different ramifications in that, and then you have a martyr. You also then have to go look around at, like, just kind of what's everybody's sense of it. Is Congress going to do anything about this? Or is this one of those things that we've had that have happened for the last 75 years here in America, where a president does something illegal, and then everyone goes, we don't have the votes for it, so I guess that just is what we do now. Because this is where we're stuck. And I've seen some people say, well, look at a guy like Newsom or some of these other different governors, and if they become president, they're not going to undo this. Well, there's no undoing it. Like, that's the one thing I think people need to understand is you can't make Venezuela uninvaded. Mm-hmm. You can't release Maduro and then send him back down there. Like there's a bunch of different steps along the way that would actually then make things. So we've done it. Okay, you lit the fucking candle. It's not going to be unburnt. The wick is always going to have been burnt now. It's not going to be fresh. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Two things I want to say, and both derail where we are. The first thing is, I don't know if you saw it. My favorite thing that I've heard in the last 24 hours is Jon Stewart saying the Maduro situation is crazy because he's the only person that's been reverse iced. That fucking destroyed me. And then second, I have to give flowers to Ro Khanna for a few reasons. He is someone that I will disagree with here and there. Mm-hmm. And I always have to throw that out because anytime I give anyone praise, 2 months later, it's like, hey, did you know they did this horrible thing? And I'm like, damn it. Why did I hitch? Meanwhile, we have a podcast together and I'm always like bated breath. What is Alex going to say? No, but he's really been pushing a lot of things. To your point, he's talking about these candidates. I do connect with you in the sense of separating what is right with strategy. What is morally, and not as far as what you do, what you say. because there was a lot of this when we were going into the 2024 election. It was like, why are you fighting this close to the election? Why are like for certain things? One of the areas where I disagreed with him in the past when I spoke with him was, and it always comes from him being open to talking to people, which I think is a very good trait. But I think he saw Elon Musk as someone that would be less destructive, like someone that he could still technically work with. And I think maybe he had an old image still lingering of Elon Musk, because sometimes when you have a relationship with someone, you remember who they were rather than the ketamine-driven thrashing around monster in that moment.
Yeah.
So there is a safe way to do ketamine, and with a doctor.
And do they still throw sponsorships out there? Because I remember there was a little bit there where ketamine was like sponsoring podcasts.
What? Oh, I don't know if they were. Maybe they were. I remember getting ketamine ads, and I was like,
I don't know if they changed that one, but I do remember like listening to a podcast once, and they're like, ketamine therapy. I was like, hey, bud, I used to go to raves. I didn't think that we were doing therapy. I thought we were just having a good time. Anyway, what you were saying though about Ro Khanna, I think one thing that's important there to keep in one piece of context that people forget is that Ro Khanna is the congressman representing Silicon Valley.
Yes.
And so because of that, because of the people he's surrounded by, and because of the language that they use, the idea of disruption, the idea of this almost like auteur founder and these geniuses has been for the last 30 years has really, really been pushed in that region. And, the idea of these guys having something and that actually, they're not just trying to make money, they're trying to make a world a better place is something that a lot of people bought into, especially in that area of the world. And, those are his constituents, and that's who he's been representing for a very long time. I think he's had, especially with Ro Khanna, which we didn't even have on the list here. But I think he's really had a come to Jesus moment about a lot of, the last, 10, 15 years of where we've come to and where we're going. I mean, it's been so odd seeing Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie come together, because while we were on our break, actually, we barely even touched about it on the 1 year, the Epstein files officially got semi-dropped. December 19th came and they released a trove of files. They redacted the president's name out of a ton of it, and even including whole pages that were completely blacked out. And then many of which actually wasn't blacked out because of, which is very funny. Somebody discovered that if you just take the PDF and highlight it and then repaste it into Word, the highlights removed. And can I tell you what's funny about that, Phil? That is due to Elon Musk, because using Doge, he cut the Adobe licensing that a bunch of these agencies had. So they're using like the freemium version. And so they didn't have the 25 layers of redactedness or whatever it is.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Shit. Yeah, it's incredible stuff. But back to Ro Khanna. He's been working with Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie's another person where Thomas Massie is actually a true libertarian. And this is the part that's driven me insane, because I agree with Thomas Massie on, and this might be one of those areas where we have to learn how to agree with people we disagree on and pick and choose stuff. I agree with Thomas Massie on the Epstein files. I agree with Thomas Massie on not invading Venezuela. I disagree with Thomas Massie on the fact that he doesn't believe the government should be involved in daycares. When the Somali daycare thing being pushed by Nick Shirley dropped everywhere, his first reaction was, government shouldn't be involved with daycares. I actually believe government should be more involved with daycares. I believe we should have public daycares. I think it's insane that our public schooling, if both parents have to work in every household in this country to make ends meet, then we should have assistance for parents that starts almost at birth. That we should have paid family time leave for I could argue from 6 weeks to 6 months. And then from 6 months or 1 year on, we should have an area where the kids can go to school and have a parent of a kid who's in daycare and seeing how good that is for people. Thomas Massie is against that. Thomas Massie is also the man who posed a Christmas card with his children and his wife holding AR-15s. Like, who was quoted in a Haley Williams song. That is her congressman. Like, there's so many things that Thomas Massie has done that I'm like, fuck that guy. But on that thing, he's right. And Ro Khanna has been able to cross the aisle on this. And I think that Ro Khanna has turned slowly into one of the congressmen that I can kind of respect, but also then hold my breath. I'm like, you're going to do some cringe shit. Like, out of nowhere. And I think the issue we have, and the reason why we're not seeing this with the governors at the same level, is the governors have to play to national and local markets. Tim Walz was blindsided by the Somali fraud story because in Minnesota, this is been a story for 5 years. It's not been a story across the United States. 90 plus people have already been indicted. I think 60 of them have already been prosecuted. Like many parts of this have already been handled. And so to them, this is a local story. This is like coming to me and be like, did you know that people in Pennsylvania eat gas station food? I'm like, you mean Wawa? And they're like, oh, look, Pearlmania's been hiding that people in Pennsylvania eat gas station food. Like that's what that feels like.
Yeah, this gets connected though then to the whole, the media won't tell you, and then they read something from the media.
Yeah,
and
from
you're just like,
yeah.
You're like, God. Oh, I mean, I get it.
Again,
I get it.
People on the internet discover things. They don't learn things, and that's exactly what Nick Shirley did. He didn't learn anything. He discovered it, and then he set up a series of things, a series of photo ops that are very clippable to be able to say, look at me discovering it. Even though his discovering is from literally Minnesota state committees, from Minnesota journalists, from Minnesota investigators, and from federal investigators. And then again, they're going, the media's not telling you.
Well, the media is out to get you. The media is not to be trusted. There was a thing today where Trump was even talking about the media distrust and how we have to keep it there. And I was like, I mean, he just says it out loud. He says everything out loud. I mean, it's not surprising.
Well, I mean, and the fun part actually now is the line liberal media doesn't even work anymore. It doesn't even work anymore. Because
I would always just get frustrated with the idea of calling it mainstream media, because I'm like, one, Fox News is the biggest fucking thing on TV.
Yeah.
Like the fact that shows like Gutfeld have just like monster audiences.
Well, okay. Well, monster audience means that they're on in the lobby at a nursing home. But yeah, I understand.
But people are watching.
Yeah.
And then even when you look to the online space, like so many of the biggest podcasts in the world are right-wing audiences. And so you're like, and especially as these places become more and more mainstream. Go for it, yeah.
Which is why we need people to like, subscribe, comment, give us 5 stars on iTunes, okay? We're coming for. I'm just trying to let me live one day above Ben Shapiro in the iTunes list. Let me live one day over Ben. We need to invade Iraq, Shapiro. Okay, please.
God. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like I need to. This is why I need to be at a place where I've written down what I want to say, because when it comes to certain things, I'm like, I'm going to say something that's crazier than what Alex would say. No.
Say it.
No.
Do it.
So. But I think that it is very important to go and try and give views on this place, you fucker. So anyway, I don't know. I when it comes to the likes of Ben Shapiro, I do not think that he actually cares about America primarily. Let me say it that way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's a good way of putting it. That was a very.
And I think there are also a lot of people on the right, some that I detest, but also some that are more milquetoast that I think would agree with me on that.
Well, but I mean, yeah, but there's the thing is that and we were talking about it briefly earlier, and this is what with the MAGA influencers, like a bunch of them, because they've been infighting. They've been infighting the entire when we were on break. Most people spent Christmas and the winter break and New Year's with their families. On the right, they spent all of it stabbing each other on the back and calling each other feds and Mossad agents and all this other different shit. But we are now seeing a lot of their decision with this Venezuela invasion. We're now quickly seeing who can be brought on side very rapidly. And a few of them who made some decisions in November and December, I'm specifically looking at like Megyn Kelly.
She's against it, yeah.
Are rapidly discovering that they're standing alone. Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson thought they were on the same side as Nick Fuentes. And they are discovering that Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones are somehow weirdly for invading Venezuela. I mean, like a lot of people point out, Alex Jones spent his entire life saying, and I quote, "There's a cabal of pedophile elites who are hanging out on islands who are trying to start a new world order. They're going to conquer the world to steal all the resources so they can go become eternal living beings on foreign planets to join the stars as alien warlords." And now he's like, it's great. He's for it. He's for it. Alex Jones is completely for invading Venezuela, stealing their oil, conquering Greenland so Elon Musk can build enough rockets to go to build brain chips on Mars and then live forever as a billionaire who steals children's blood. This is where we are. Like, it's full circle. Like, people say horseshoe theory. Maybe we should come up with a new one, right? I think it's like a boomerang bonanza. It's just we're throwing things out there and they come back, and now it's your personality. But with a lot of these different guys, a lot of them, they learn the lesson of Iraq, and the lesson they learned was be against it when it's unpopular. And right now they're like, it's not unpopular yet. People don't know what it is. Maybe I can convince them that this is the good one. And Phil, the big thing that's been crazy is because we've been focusing on Venezuela. Again, I hate when everyone's like, everything's a distraction from a distraction. Actually, this has been a huge distraction because January 1st, everyone's health insurance premiums spiked. And this has actually been a difficult area to talk about because health insurance is such a confusing thing. But in reality, the amount of money you have to pay every paycheck or every month towards your health insurance so you have an option to have a deductible shot through the roof. It doesn't matter whether or not you get your health insurance through a job. It doesn't matter whether you get through the marketplace or if you have subsidies. Across the board, the entire system is getting more expensive and I'd say teetering towards collapse. And nobody is talking about that isn't the only thing that's spiking. Energy prices are spiking across the board for everyone, and the big part of that is due to AI data centers coming in there, which we talked about on the last episode of the year. Food prices are going through the roof, again, still because of tariffs. RAM prices going for computers. Building a basic computer is getting more expensive, and because of that also is going to have a knock-on effect to cars and all these other different things. Rent has not gone down. They said we're going to deport all these people and rent will go down and home prices will go down. None of it is going down. Everything is getting more expensive and more and more and more expensive. And at this point, they can't even claim that this is Biden's economy anymore. This is 100% now left to the devices and machinations of this administration. And I think it is important for our listeners out there to complain about the price of everything. Please complain about it at work. Complain about it when you're talking to your relatives. Complain about it at daycare. Complain about it when you're just walking in the park loudly. Just be like, these fucking prices. Like, if you think back to 21 and 22, the amount of I did that, Biden pointing stickers and all this different shit. I think we've been stuck in a world where we've all just kind of sucked up and taken it. And I'm tired of fucking taking it. At least bitch about it loudly. Please. And then maybe people will start to be like, that is more expensive. Like when you're at the grocery store and you go to get a fucking 12-pack of soda and just hold up and go, $8 for Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, when it comes to healthcare, I mean, once again, I hate being this fucking person, but it's like we have to see what it's going to look like over this year. Obviously, whatever's going to happen in Congress happens, but like there are predictions that not even just all of a sudden you have so many millions of people paying more for insurance, but it's predicted by some that you're going to have 4.8 million people drop coverage.
Yeah.
And so what does that do?
I have good comments, so many comments from people. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I made a video about the health insurance prices spiking. I had so many comments from people saying I had to just drop my insurance. I can't afford it. There's so many people who are saying this. And the thing is for some people,
the ripple effects are going to be crazy.
So my family, it went up 30%. I have a family of 3, right? I have 2 adults, both just over 40, and I have a toddler, all right? Last year, it cost me $777 a month. This year, it cost me $990, all right? Almost $1,000 to have the right to have an $18,000 annual deductible. I'm not even at out-of-pocket max. An $18,000 family deductible. Okay, to the point where it almost you get in the debate of does it make more sense for us to insure each other individually, and that way we have a lower deductible, because this is just where we're at. We're stuck with a system that sucks shit for everybody, and it's actually been. It's like, no, listen, the employers fucking hate it. You're an employer, you fucking hate it.
I hate it. I
hate
think
it. It's
that
a dumb.
We need universal health care. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a dumb system. Everybody fucking hates it. And the worst part is this system then not only does it stick people into the jobs till they're stuck in it long enough for AI to replace them, but it also makes sure that like you don't want to move across because you don't know the changes in there. It forces you to go pick doctors and care that you may not want. The doctors fucking hate it. I can't tell you how many videos I've seen of doctors screaming at insurance agents and fellow doctors that are paid for by insurance agents. We are just over 1 year since the Luigi, like the weirdly, the most The only thing in the last 365 that has bonded us all together has been like, I can't believe Luigi is sexy. Like that has been where we've been stuck this entire time. And I just think it's so shameful that, and it's such a complicated issue when it comes to health insurance. And it doesn't need to be. And I think looking at not only the world, but also just looking at when we look at it, like what a monstrous thing, it feels American health insurance and our healthcare feels like a hoarder house, and we don't know where to start. And I have to just say to Congress, to any politician out there, to anyone thinking about this, of like, well, eventually you got to start pick a room and clean it, and you're going to find some dead cats. Like that's just where we are because we're stuck. We're just fucking... This is untenable. It's untenable. It's getting harder and harder for people to live. It's getting harder and harder for them to plan. It's getting harder and harder for people to relax because of just like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I get into this weird place of how do you teach people empathy? Because I think a lot of the people that are like, well, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of it can be young people because they're like, hey, I'm healthy. I don't need it. I, from an early age, unfortunately, but I guess fortunately because it taught me to care about the situation, had sick parents, specifically a sick dad. And so you see like why social safety nets are so important. And then, but it's one of those things where I'm wondering who's going to be impacted and who's going to feel the pain and thus how it affects the election. Because like I said, there is the real impact and then the strategy aspect of it. Because the people that are going to be impacted by this initially, there is a ripple effect where it's going to get to people like myself, is that it's people without job-based insurance who don't qualify for Medicaid and Medicare who are going to be affected the most. So if your health insurance gets crazy, I was like, you can come under the DeFranco media thing. We'll figure it out.
We should start our own health insurance agency, Phil. That'll be our merch. That'll be our merch. We become healthcare titans.
So we can become the monster.
Yeah.
I'll be like, these numbers. If there was only one, deny coverage. That's how you make money.
Yeah.
But, So,
well,
but the thing is, there's going to be a ripple effect.
Enough, they'll just die. If you pump the brakes long enough, they'll die and they can't collect.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just anytime you're talking to people and they're like, well, I shouldn't have to pay because there are sick people. I'm like, homie, you could be sick people. There could be sick people around you.
One thing disability advocates have taught me is eventually everyone becomes disabled.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. That's the number one thing. And like, I think a lot about empathy. I think a lot about the golden rule, doing to others and picture yourself in other people's shoes. And the other thing though is that it is like, that's a good thing to do. And if you're a white man in America who's done mushrooms, you understand empathy. But for the rest of them, you have to then just go, well, if this happens to me, it's like hedging the bet is the best you can really do with them to break through the Excel brain. And it drives me so insane, especially when sitting here and looking at rates and all these different things, because it gets back into environmental factors that are not necessarily, that are man-made environmental factors, right? Like again, Philadelphia region, we have a bunch of oil refineries at the south of Philadelphia. Those areas where they process oil for the Sunoco. So people around there get sicker. We have so many areas that are Superfund sites from fracking and from other different things across Pennsylvania. People there just get sicker. We have areas that are just cancer cell pockets. And it's because we've allowed business to go in there to extract wealth that have then caused people to have cancer. If we had maybe, I don't know, definitely, but if maybe we had something like a national insurance program or something close to universal health care, would government then care that we poisoned an entire town because it then costs the government more money? Would that care? I don't know. I'm not saying it would, but I'm just saying right now our current system is to have healthcare executives just deny that entire town and then call it a pre-existing condition until Obamacare showed up, and now they have to cover everybody. Because I mean, like, that's just like where we're kind of stuck. And I'm seeing a lot of talk again when I'm looking online when people are talking about this thing. It's not working well as a talking point, but a bunch of them are just like, insurance was fine, my insurance was cheap, and then Obamacare showed up. Your insurance was always going to get this expensive. It wasn't due to Obamacare. It's been due to extracting wealth from the insurance system.
I want to shout though. Because it's like, homie, maybe you just didn't exist. There was a time where you couldn't fucking get coverage because you had a pre-existing condition. That was one of the biggest changes from Obamacare. But rather than me ranting about
I know, but I did want to cover just prices in general. That was a big part with this.
On prices, what I'm kind of hoping could be a side impact of the rise of these AI data centers, because I do not see that shifting anytime soon. I think America has made too much of a bet, is that I'm hoping that it can lead to some sort of, who knows, usually for something like this, something really horrible has to happen first, but I'm hoping that the need for that energy can maybe rush in something that's like New Deal-esque, where we're like, we're going to build so much infrastructure. This might be, I don't know how people feel about nuclear energy. I think that I get nervous with some of the people that might be involved, especially when it comes to infrastructure and the lack of expertise or care about a lot of things. But really building, I don't know, 100 nuclear energy plants, whatever the number is for where we're projecting, that there can be some sort of building towards it. That said, is that going to happen? I don't know. I saw that they're like talking about maybe doing fucking data centers in space, because then they can use solar power 24 hours a day.
Solar power doesn't work because of cloud, and wind power is gay. So no, that's not an option.
Shoot it to space so you don't have to deal with clouds or birds.
No, and also, by the way, to Tucker Carlson, we did not invade Venezuela to bring gay marriage. And that's a real thing. I saw you, Tucker the Cucker, talk about. Absolutely not. We did it for oil. I want to be very clear about that. We did it for oil. We need the oil so we can run the data centers, so that way we can make memes of Maduro DJing. That's a real thing. Man. That's what flooded my timeline. I got hit by so much.
I look at it and I'm like, I hate this, but also love it, and I shouldn't love it, but I do because it's funny. But no, I hate this.
Oh, you're talking about the AI Maduro?
Yeah, just being a DJ.
Well, there's actually so one of the things, not to bring it full circle back to Venezuela, but there is, there's a lot of people noticed he did like 10 costume changes.
But some of them are real, some are not, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some people are starting to say, I don't know what is and what that. And this is literally where we're stuck, and the government won't tell us. I don't know what is actually.
I need to know what the real drip is.
Yeah, no, I know, for real. He's in the Nike thing, and that's in the picture that Trump released, and I think that one is real. And then there's videos of him like coming down stuff. I think that one is real. But then Maduro is somebody who's been photographed so much that the AI can be trained on his face hard enough that it can actually make pretty accurate images of him. And I don't know him well enough to go, oh, actually that mole's on the other side. Or they added a little wisp of white into his mustache that isn't there because he didn't get access to his Just for Men. Like, I don't know. And so this is, again, we're stuck in one of these areas and we're going to continue to see this with the propaganda. A lot of people noticed with the Venezuelans cheering all across, it's literally all across the world. People started pointing out that this was in Miami, this was in Chile, this was in all these different areas, right? Buenos Aires. There's 7 million Venezuelans who have left Venezuela because of how bad the economy and government and repression got there. Okay, understood. But I also saw a lot of different people when they started interviewing them. They were like, yes, as a Cuban American. I was like, okay, there it is. So, I mean, there's a lot in that, but not just that, but you'll have just people just straight up pushing AI images and saying that this is Caracas. And again, I don't know what the streets of Caracas look like. I don't know what would be these type of areas. That's kind of where we get stuck in that. And I think that's terrifying.
Yeah, the area that gets hard is it's multi-layered, right? So there's some that just like the outright AI stuff. I saw AI videos that were claiming to be a certain thing, getting multi-million views, so much engagement. But then also you have other situations where there's old unrelated videos that are being shared as current. There's also videos that where something I think you saw was, I believe there were people celebrating in like Argentina, and there were people celebrating in Miami that were being portrayed as people in the streets.
Being portrayed as people in the streets of Caracas,
celebrating. And so it just becomes a situation where it gets so muddy that people go like, well, it's probably whatever I think it is, right? Yeah. Because also, I mean, then you also saw videos of people in the streets like denouncing what happened. And so it creates this chaotic picture. And the secondary thing that's important is the chaos and the confusion. It makes it so you don't do anything, right? That's part of the reason it's a strategy, is it's like, okay, well, I guess that's just what it is.
Flood the zone, man.
Yeah, you feel helpless.
Yeah, and also but again, and this is probably going back to the governors and the 2028 nominees that people are looking at, not saying anything about it. They're trying to read their tea leaves before, and this has been my issue actually since Twitter. Reporters used to go to the diner. Reporters used to literally hit the street and ask strangers what they thought about stuff, or they would go to a bar, or they would go to different places and speak to people in real life, and they go, okay, now I have kind of a general idea of where at least my town is on, or my city is on any sort of general thought process, right? It was a way to take a loose poll. You knew like, oh, I'll talk to the milkman, I'll talk to this other guy over here, I'll go to the gas station, I'll ask the cashier, I'll go to the bar, I'll ask the bartender, he'll tell me what 5 other people told him today while sitting here at the bar. Now I know what all the alcoholics think, blah, blah, blah. And then when Twitter showed up, they literally went, oh, I scrolled through Twitter, and I don't know if you know this, Kim Kardashian just made the internet explode. And then Elon bought it, and then now we've had this kind of break of, again, people's brains can't actually fathom of what anyone else thinks about anything because we don't fucking talk to each other. We go and we kind of get a flash of what an algorithm tells us. And that algorithm is trained based on other pressure points and pain points that we have, other interests that we might have. You and I are going to see something completely different than our wives are going to see. Our wives are going to see something different than our kids are going to see. Our listeners are going to see something completely different than we're going to see. And it's all going to be in a different fucking context of it, which is the reason why I have to sit here and scream into a fucking microphone like 4 days a week.
No one's forcing you.
Yeah, no, and people are. Okay, I got to pay for fucking health insurance. Have you seen these goddamn premium costs?
Hey, don't say that. Your producer Ben's going to get a fucking money boner and be like, they're going daily.
Oh, yeah. Just not to blow up his spot, but our producer, when we asked each other what our New Year's resolutions were, our producer yelled to get a Rivian. And I was like, what are you talking about? Okay? I'm over here like, I don't know, I want to find like a health plan that like works for me and like try to go to the gym like a little bit and like, you know, just like try to like be able to keep up with my son as my toddler runs away from me. And then he's like, I want a Rivian.
Okay, you guys are also at very different stages of your life. Now you're making me defend producer Ben.
Oh, okay,
he's fine. A 28-year-old boy.
He's not a boy. He's a man, and he can go to war, and he will go to war because might makes right, and we are a settler colonial empire now, and we will go and conquer whoever we want because they're making the frogs gay, and that's actually good. Our EPA is going to allow gay frog water across the entire Western Hemisphere, folks. We want gay frog water for everybody, and we're going to take Greenland back from Denmark, even though we're going to follow the Denmark vaccine schedule because we hate Denmark, but we like all their ideas, and we want to make sure that our country looks exactly like Denmark by getting rid of all these fucking Venezuelans, by conquering Venezuela and making it part of America.
I hope you feel better.
Close the show?
No, because I'm not done with you yet. We can't end on a high note. I want to make it something analytical and nerdy as shit. So I will say for Ben, you may want to maybe not get it. I say that as someone that owns Rivian stock and it's finally now paying off, and I'm a fan of the company. I don't own a vehicle, but I mean, depending on what happens with tariffs, what happens with export controls. Something that's like really taking over the market right now are these BYD EV vehicles out of China. Oh, yeah. Which actually, on that note, it brings us, everything ends up being connected, right? So it connects Elon Musk because BYD has now surpassed Tesla for worldwide sales for the first time. Huge. I think the numbers I was looking at this morning, their numbers are up like 20%. Tesla was down 8%. Then there's also a mixture of domestic and international. Domestic in China, BYD's blown up. In the States, Tesla's having a problem because his boy Trump took away the tax credit. So that hurt.
And his arm can't stop doing a funny.
And that he alienated what is usually a more left-leaning base here in America that were his customers. And but I'm very interested to see if like this is kind of their high or they're going even crazier because their tech, I was looking into it, their tech is even more advanced than what Tesla has right now. BYD is trying to bring these quick chargers to Europe that you can get like almost a full charge or like one of those, mostly charged things in 5 minutes. So like it's equating it to like you go to the gas station, you go in, you hop out. Tesla, from my understanding, as far as the public knowledge, maybe he's got something in waiting. I don't know. Their thing is like 15 minutes and 200 miles, which is it sounds close is also drastically different. But also, the big thing that's going to matter is if other countries like America get spooked by BYD, because also these vehicles, it's like 23,000 euros for Tesla quality or better. And a lot of the time it's better.
Well, and the big thing with BYD, because I've been seeing these a lot on TikTok and other things, they have like 100% tariff on them because to keep them out of the U.S. market and all these other. I think there's other restrictions on them. Yeah. And the other part that you actually that you're leaving out something, Phil, which is if you were in Europe, right, and you bought a Tesla, would you trust its full self-driving to not drive you off of a fucking bridge into the Seine? Because Elon, in conjunction with the Trump administration, decides to invade France because Brigitte Macron has a penis.
He's saying that sarcastically. I don't want you being one of the
I'm not getting
10
sued
people.
in France. They can't track me down.
I was like, you don't think this, right?
This is a comedy podcast. It's a comedy podcast.
I want to make sure.
Okay.
I want to make sure that you haven't in the entire time been Candace Owens.
We need to put
in a
so
mess.
we need to put maybe the South Park prior plate at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Everything on here is a fucking joke. Even the things where Pearlman's being real about. But
Dude,
anyway,
you're just reminding me of old YouTube. There was a 10, 15 years ago, people were like, if you put satire in the tags, they can't sue you.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's like on Twitter where it's like, I actually, when they'll have their name be like, actually AOC, and then you click on the profile and it has to say parody underneath.
Yeah.
But no, I think that there is a lot of fear. I mean, listen, Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law was in a Tesla that drove into a lake and she couldn't get out, or a pond or whatever, could get out of it. And there's been people for a long time now who've had conspiracies around that of whether or not did Elon sit there and go, swipe, go forward. I mean, we're looking at a madman in ketamine who believes that we should have an American technate who has now had full-throated defense of the President of the United States illegally invading Venezuela, who has stated repeatedly that he'll coup whoever he wants, when I think it was Bolivia they were talking about a long time ago, he joked about, and other different places. So if you were, to our foreign listeners out there, especially in Europe, if you're overseas and you're living in a country, like, could those, in theory, just be 20,000-pound bombs that they're driving around? Does he have a button he could hit that say every... and again, this is just kind of out there. If I was writing a sci-fi book and I had an evil billionaire who was aligned with a dictator taking over America who wanted to colonize Europe, and I had sold something that was a giant bulletproof tank that had been sprinkled all across Europe that were too big for most of the roads, I would have an app on that evil billionaire's phone where you could hit the button and have all of them explode exactly the way they did on January 1st, 2025. Which is an image we should have used and the thumbnail, by the way. That is the image. I was so mad afterwards of the Trump, in front of the Trump Hotel. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That should have been the thumbnail.
I was going to say, I don't think you're crazy. I think what you're doing right now is very similar to like the Tom Clancy novels, where it's like he kind of talks about what could happen in like the world that we're in or the world that we're headed, rather than getting full on conspiratorial. But bringing it back to Elon Musk, I think one of the reasons, and there's so many, that Elon Musk is cozying back up with the administration is I think he's going to want some sort of carve out for Tesla regarding credits or returning to that space, as well as one of the things that could fuck Tesla in relation to China, I found out, is that China could really mess around with export controls around silver, because I didn't realize how involved that's just the world and all these important resources. It's one of the reasons why when they were on Air Force One yesterday, they were like, yes, it's oil, but also there's a bunch of other like really interesting shit that's in their ground that we're going to take.
They call it rare earth, and I was like, I didn't think earth was rare because I walk on it all the time. The fucking, it's just, it's the stupidest timeline. I always thought, and because, can I tell you actually something weird about Elon? And I don't have to end another episode about Elon, but I'll do it because I hate him so much. One day I discovered Elon on the internet because all these people were fanboying over him. Mm-hmm. And they were saying about how he was going to be the one to get us off this is like 2011 or 2013. Everyone's like, oh, he's going to get off our dependence on foreign oil. He's going to build electric cars. He's going to build rockets and send us to the moon. He's going to do all these amazing things. And he's so smart and he's going to do all these different things. But a big part of it was around getting off of foreign dependence for oil and having a green future. And now that same exact guy is backing a president who is against electric cars. He's against having a green future. He seemingly is against actually going to another planet because he wants all of our rockets turned downwards to be used as weapons on each other. I mean, it's just like it seems insane to me. But again, we live in a boomerang bonanza, and whatever you say will come back and hit you directly in the face, which is why I want to say that I will never be a billionaire. Absolutely not. I will never be a billionaire who spends New Year's Eve at St. Bart's. That will never happen. Not once. I will never have a mega yacht. Just want to get that out.
Just the way you're saying it feels like it should just immediately cut to 5 years from now.
It should, but I have to live through the next 5. I have to survive the next 5 years. Just like our listeners out there.
Baby.
We all got to survive, which is why you need to like, subscribe, comment, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars on all the different places, and tell your friends. Be like, hey, I was feeling really bad about the world, and then these guys made me feel worse. Tell them all about crashing out.
But I felt less alone. Guys, thank you for hanging out. I love you faces, and we'll see you next week.